Reflections of Purpose.
Hello, thanks so much for joining Twisted Threads. My name is Karen Sims. Glad you joined us. This is our series of Reflections of Purpose that we try to bring to you several times a week to motivate you, to inspire you, to impact your lives for transformation. So our tagline for Twisted Threads is just that: inspire, impact, transform. We are so glad that you pressed play and decided to hear what's this all about with our Reflections of Purpose. So as always, we get right into our topics. Today's topic is rebranding yourself. And so as we think about rebranding and what that means for your life, understand that the first thing first is you got to know who you are to begin with. And the challenge with that means that sometimes you got to go back to the beginning, reflect, and here's the Reflections of Purpose. So we put it right in your face for you to figure out what it is that you want to be. The fun part with it is this: when you go through a vision of rebranding yourself, it kind of doesn't always matter what you were, because you're looking to create a new version of yourself. You know, I'm a twin, and most people would be like, oh my goodness, there's two of you. No, actually, there's one of me. But the fun part about rebranding yourself is you get to introduce a better version of you to the world every single day. How amazing is that? It's not you. It's a better you. So tomorrow morning when I wake up, there'll be a better version of me that I'll be looking to present to the world. And hopefully, you know, she'll be gorgeous. You know, she'll wear this yellow like I wear this yellow, but she'll be amazing even more so tomorrow. That's the same thing that we want to motivate and inspire you to do. So now we got to talk about what's the process for rebranding yourself. How do you want to rebrand? Where do you want to rebrand? Why do you want to rebrand? Some people, it's a different thing for them. So one of the reasons that I went through a rebranding probably about 8 or 9 years ago. I don't even know how many years, but it was a while. I'll tell you, it was connected to an event. So my youngest two sons were graduating high school. And I started to think like, well, wow, what comes after that? I've been a mommy for so long that I'm not really sure what else I can be after that. Now, mind you, the whole time I was going to school, collecting my degrees, earning and moving up the corporate ladder, and all of these things were happening. And I was growing in my charge as being their mom and being more amazing in their lives every single day. But in my mind, I thought there's going to be an end to this, because once they get to be adults, not so much that they'll stop needing me, but they'll need me in a different capacity. And so I needed to shift myself. And I recall the process for talking to someone who had already graduated into having adult children. And so she had some children that were my kids' age, but she also had grown children. And I'm like, I don't know about this adulting, being a parent of adult children, because I like to tell them what to do. They listen to what I say do, and all things are right in the world. How about that? But when your kids get to be 18 and some of them before they get 18, they just kind of feel like, okay, this is the thing that I want to do. So I'm just going to go out, and mommy and daddy, y'all don't know nothing. Guess what? Let them go out there in the world sometimes. Now I know for some of you helicopter moms, I've spoken the highest point of treason to say, let your kids leave the house. Okay. I love it because I have a girlfriend who she is somewhere, and she moved to another state, and she's looking to buy a house, and she's like, yeah, all the kids are going to move in. And I'm like, there is no way in heaven or hell that could ever be a good idea for all of my children to be under the same roof with me. Now, if they decide to do that amongst themselves, let them do that. Getting back to the rebranding. As I went through the rebranding, it was hard for me to transition because I felt like I wasn't ready to not be their mother. I felt like I needed permission. I wanted to rebrand myself in my professional life as well as my personal life, because when you got 5 kids, well, maybe some people might be thinking about you're not wife material. It's like, oh, but those bodyguards. So people would call my boys the Pips, because it'd be like, oh, there's Gladys and her Pips, because we would always be together. But nobody would really approach me to try to date me and all this stuff. And if you figure that way, if you've ever seen the Whitney Houston movie Bodyguard, you kind of get it. I walked around all day with what? Bodyguards. But then there was some freedom that was coming to me, because I understood that once they graduated, I then would have more time to focus on me. I would have more time to rebrand what I wanted people to see me as. Not so much being concerned with what they thought of me, because we'll get to that in a minute about what their opinions matter in this process. But I had to figure out, so how do I rebrand myself? In what areas do I need to be rebranded? What ways do I want that to look like? What are the steps that I need to take to get it done? One of the things that I love, the lady, and she was a sister in our church, and I love her forever for this, because she didn't know that I needed it, but she was like, you have permission to be whatever you want to be. She's like, if you want to be something else tomorrow, do that. You don't need, and she actually said to me, you don't need permission. And somewhere in my mind, I felt like, well, I'm not allowed to not be, the upstanding mother, and I can't go wild out, can't get no tattoos. We can't be, traipsing around the world. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? We can't do those things. Why? Because I'm a responsible mother and I'm an upstanding citizen. And guess what? Everybody need a wild out moment. And when I had that conversation with her, it was very telling for me, because I didn't realize that I was waiting for somebody to tell me that it was okay for me to do whatever I wanted to do. In our conversation, she didn't technically give me permission, but she did, because she reminded me that I didn't need permission. Now imagine that. That means I got access to every portion of my life to be whatever I want to be, to do whatever I want to do. And I was a very structured mother. I understood in my mind that my structure would allow my kids to live the life that they wanted to live. So I did the hard stuff. I sacrificed in ways that sometimes they didn't even imagine, but it was important to me because I wanted them to be kids. I wanted them to live a life. But then here I am, I'm a mommy of adults, and they're going off to college, and some of them, I sent them all to college, and some of them graduated and they stayed, and they are living their best lives even right now. And then I go through the motion of rebranding myself. And once I gave myself the permission to live my life unapologetically, doors open, opportunities open. People started listening to me. And it was like, what you listening to me for? I had something to say, so that was good. During the quiet times, I was able to take in knowledge and take in wisdom, and then I'm able to give that back. And with me serving as a life coach, I get that opportunity in many people's lives now, where they share the deepest parts of their life. And it's not so much that I'm coming in to fix a problem for them, but we get to be partners in solving and creating solutions in the areas that they've identified. They've picked the areas that they want to rebrand and see change in their lives. And then I get to be a cheerleader. I get to be that person who coaches them on the sideline. If you understand the purpose of a life coach, it's not just to tell you what to do, but it's to give you the opportunity to say, here's a playbook. Pick which ones you want to walk out and figure out which ones have the most winning strategy. That's the purpose of a life coach. That's the purpose of rebranding. When you get to say, hey, I need a coach. And you go back and you're like, coach, I made the basket. I got the field goal. Now what's next? And then I'm able to come in and help you decide what those next steps are. So what's the next steps in rebranding yourself? Well, you actually have to take the steps. You got to take the steps to say, what are the things that you want to do? That's identifying what areas you want to see change in, what goals you want to set for yourself. And we have talked about some of those things, and we'll continue to talk about goal setting and vision casting and what is the legacy you want to leave for yourself and for your family. But understanding that the first step is you got to lose some weight. And it's not the 10 pounds that we proverbially try to lose every January. The weight that you need to lose is what other people think about you. That becomes the heaviest weight that stops us many different times in our lives from progressing in ways that would transform our very existence, because we're worried about what mom and dad are going to say. We're worried about what our friends are going to say. We're worried about people, in this social media age, people have comments and things to say that don't even know me. They don't know me, but they're putting a thought on what they believe things to be. So thinking about rebranding yourself. Look, there's probably going to be a part 2, 3, 4, 5 to this. When we think about now, you understand it doesn't matter what people think of you, but it does matter what you think of yourself. And so you got to get yourself in the mirror and think about those things that are allowing you to not just rebrand yourself outwardly, but inward rebranding. Look, our next episode, we're going to talk about breaking down how to rebrand yourself internally and externally, because step number 1, you need a strategy. And I'm here to help you create that strategy that's going to allow you to rebrand yourself, to ignite that fire within yourself, to say, I'm going to be better tomorrow. Can you imagine that? If you think anything of yourself, the next version of you of 2.55 that's coming tomorrow being better is going to be more exciting. So we'll talk more about rebranding and what that means to make changes in your life, and for that to be forward facing as you present yourself in society, to your family, and even to the woman or man in the mirror. It's important for you to know you can be whoever you want to be, but you got to figure out what that identity is going to look like for you and what you want it to be. So come back real soon. As always, make today an amazing day. Share and like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and visit us on social media, Twisted Threads. Have a great and amazing day.
Reflections of purpose.